This is why I'm pleased to have the opportunity today to discuss with you these major bilateral issues, these major international issues, and obviously the context of the war that's raging in Ukraine following the Russian aggression, and therefore the very important issue of peace and stability in our world.
And joining me to discuss that state visit is our foreign editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, just big picture then, tell us why Macron is in China right now.
Yeah, we heard already, we've heard Xi saying that he hails the Chinese relationship with France amid profound historical change. Macron has talked about being able to count on China. And of course, much of today's meeting will focus on Ukraine. The Chinese president recently visited Moscow, and once again there was that image of this friendship between Moscow and Beijing and their no-limits relationship. And this growing axis between the two is worrying many in the West. Macron will hope to persuade Xi maybe not to deliver lethal weapons to Russia and perhaps to make a phone call to Ukrainian President Zelensky. It's unclear how far he will get with that, but it's clear that France is hoping that China, which could be a game changer in this war, might decide that the disruption around the world caused by this war in Ukraine is too damaging to its economy. Don't forget that China has just emerged from COVID. Its economy has been severely damaged. And from China's point of view, much more important than what happens or doesn't happen in Ukraine is getting its economy back on track. So Macron will be hoping that China might use its position as a game changer. He will also be hoping for contracts. Tech areas are going to be a bit more protected now, European tech industries. There is a little worry about Chinese intent in those areas, but there are contracts to be signed perhaps in the area of civil nuclear cooperation, agriculture, culture, aerospace. So Macron, who has a big business delegation with him, will be hoping for something on that.
Macron isn't travelling alone, though, is he? He's also with the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Does she have a similar goal to Macron on this trip?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about good cop, bad cop in this, because, of course, last week, von der Leyen made quite a stern speech about China. She said it was increasingly repressive at home and assertive on the world stage. She berated their friendship with Putin, and she has taken a tough stance. She will be very keen to try to avoid European Union sanctions. The Chinese economy is already suffering hardship from US sanctions. So there is an interest for Xi to try to smooth relations with Europe. And Macron is very keen on this idea of de-risking. The Americans are into decoupling, which is broadly separating their economy as much as possible from the Chinese one. The European Union is keen to protect certain key areas, be more careful in its relationship with the Chinese economy on tech, for example, but otherwise not to disengage from China. And so their two stances are a good cop, bad cop one, if you want. On Ukraine, Xi said that the 12-point plan, which the Chinese unveiled last month, was not viable. Macron said there might be points of convergence. So they're hoping between them to try and get somewhere.